Okay, this is just a reminder that this video is not intended for my profit, but is intended for the use of the students in my online public speaking class. All rights are reserved by Lucas, The Art of Public Speaking 13th edition and McGraw-Hill Publishing Company. All right, Chapter 3 has to do with listening. And primarily, since this is public speaking, it's primarily going to talk about listening from the public speaking perspective. But there's some other things that are kind of important as well. First of all, we want to talk about the difference between hearing and listening. So, hearing is automatic. It happens without us even thinking about it. It's basically the mechanical thing that happens, the vibration of sound waves that pop off of our eardrums, make sounds, and then happen in our brain. So we have control of that, but we really don't have control of it happening or not. It just happens. Listening, however, means that we're making a choice. It means that we're paying close attention to whatever we're trying to hear. And the way you can tell the difference between the two is when you're really listening, if you think about it, you're exerting effort. And you're tired sometimes when you've listened for a long time, when you've really paid attention. Hearing just kind of happens in our everyday life. It actually happens so much that we tend to tune things out. So there's different types of listening, and the first one would be appreciative listening. So this would be if we're listening for the purpose of enjoyment. So let's say we've gone to a concert to hear a guitar player play, or we've gone to a comedy show to hear a comedian speak or do his routine or her routine. Or if we've gone because we want to hear what somebody has to say because we like that person and we just think what they say is interesting. The next kind is empathetic listening. And this is when you're providing emotional support to the speaker. So, for example, if a friend is having a problem and you're really kind of sitting with them and paying attention and wanting to know how you can help them or support them. Now, that doesn't have to happen only in a one-on-one setting. You can go for the purpose of understanding, going to a public speaking setting for the understanding of what's happened to someone or how their life has occur, what things in their life have occurred. So that could also be empathetic listening. Comprehensive listening is typically what we're doing in a public speaking setting, and especially when it is important that we understand the message of the speaker. We're trying to pay attention enough to know what this person is trying to get across to us. So comprehensive means all-encompassing. So we are involved in it fully as a human being, as a listener. And then finally, critical listening would be what we would define maybe when we're going to see a politician speak and we're trying to learn more about them, their policies. If we're listening to a persuasive speech, if we're listening to a debate, we're actually taking the time not only to listen and absorb the message, but we're actually using our critical thinking skills for the purpose of understanding what they're saying. And sometimes when you're doing critical listening, it's not a bad idea to take notes and pay attention and see what the messages were and where you might agree or disagree, so that you can make that kind of evaluative decision about the message afterwards. What causes us to listen poorly? Well, first of all, not concentrating. So, and there's lots of things that could make that. We're not interested, we're hungry and haven't eaten, we've got lots of things going on in our life, psychologically kind of taking us away from the moment. Listening too hard would be when you're almost trying to dissect everything in a way that doesn't allow you to really just kind of absorb the message and deal with it. And what happens sometimes is we jump the gun or we jump to conclusions. We're arguing with the listener in our head before we ever have a chance to hear what they're saying. We kind of concentrate on our conclusions about the topic, what we think is the right thing, before we allow ourselves to listen to the person and see what they have to say about it. And then finally, sometimes we are focusing on the delivery the person's giving or the mistakes, or we're focusing on their appearance, and that can get in the way of us listening. I'll give you an example. I used to work at a TV station, and we would record the superintendent of a set of county schools, and he said a lot. So as we're sitting there videotaping and watching his meeting, it would be really hard for us to concentrate on what he was saying, because there were lots of ums during the course of the conversation and the meeting. So, something to think about, that we do have time to analyze and process what somebody's saying, because most people speak at a rate of about 150 words per minute, and the rate at which we can process language is about double that. So we have time to take things in, process it, and deal with it. So, but we want to utilize that time to really think about what the person is saying. Some things you can do to enhance your listening is take it seriously. And if you're ever someone who's giving a speech and your audience is not taking it seriously, that can be a real problem for someone who's speaking, because they can see that right away, and it makes them wonder what they're doing wrong instead of what's wrong with the audience. Be an active listener, which means that you're putting your focus into the listening. You're not just kind of hearing it, letting it bounce off your head. Resist distractions. So put away your phone, maybe turn your wristwatch around. Don't talk to the attractive person next to you. Those kind of things. And also concentrate more on the message of the person than their appearance or their delivery. Also, suspending judgment means that you actually have to make a choice to say, I know I disagree with this person maybe, but I'm going to allow myself to hear what they're saying so that I can decide whether there's anything valuable in their message to me. And developing note-taking skills where you're able to make sure you're just getting the most important stuff and not writing down everything. And also learning to focus your listening. So don't kind of be listening to the other things going on. Just kind of focus your attention on the person speaking. When you're focusing, this means you're kind of listening for things. You're listening for their main points, and hopefully a good speaker is going to kind of preview their main points so that you hear them ahead of time. Be listening to their evidence. Make sure that you feel like it's valid evidence, that it speaks to the argument they're making. And then finally, you can focus a little bit on their technique. If they're doing good things, if they're speaking clearly, if they're emphasizing certain points in a way that helps you understand them, if they're clearly defining things, that can be very helpful in allowing you to understand or really receive the best part of someone's message. So that is the conclusion of Chapter 3. It was a really brief one. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.